Okay, we are on chapter 8, and this one's all about the money. So here we go. When you think about finances in an agency organization type thing, you have to think about all the different styles of financial upkeep, if you will. So this first one is talking about the focuses of money, and these can all three happen in the reports, but these are kind of like the names of them, like resource reporting, resource deposition, and resource acquisition. And those terms are basically talking about past, present, and future. So resource reporting is looking at where we have came from. Like this is our past historical finances. And then the disposition is here's where we are right now. And this is where we're spending our money at this moment. And then the acquisition is this is where we want to go. This is the future of the company. Two ways to look at that is your revenue budget and your expense budget. So the revenue budget, it talks about it says indicates the various funding sources for a program and the amount of funds contributed to each source. So it groups the money into different programs, where the expense budget lists exactly how much of it will be spent. So this one is kind of like a categoric. Um, this is where our money goes. So like if you've got one pot, the revenue shows where it's contributed each time, where the expense budget, this is how much is actually, this is, group is not. So this is how much is going to the department. This is how much is being spent in each department. I guess would be a better way to look at it. And how do they provide you with those reports? It can be a line item, which would be something like if you've ever took a envelope or something and wrote down like the electric bill was $173.25. The car payment was this much. The cell phone bill was $242. Whatever. Like you list every monthly bill that you've got down, and that's a line by line budget. Where the program budget changes is it's grouped into different categories. So your agencies could be very different, but like if you think of it on a personal level, like these might be the monthly bills, the ones you pay every month, like no matter what, like car insurance, um, um, electric bill, water bill, like you're not ever going to pay off. And so that might be one group, and another group over here might be credit cards, another group over here might be loans. So this one program budget is developed by specific sets of activities or groupings of categories in some way, is how that they're shown in the expenditures. And when you are doing budget development, then you are looking at how much are you going to spend on faculty, staff, equipment, training, all the needs. A budget needs to be developed to determine what funds will be needed and how they will spend it on. So here's how much money we have. Here is where it's going. That is something that you're looking for that hasn't happened yet. You're looking at a projection. Um, and those budgets are because they do them every year. So they're saying this is what our guesstimation of what we're spending every year. And so it's not done in like a year to year like we think of 2024 and then the next year is 2025. Most agencies have July 1st as their fiscal year. So it runs from July to the end of June, and then it starts a new fiscal year every year. Um, Fund development. Basically, where does the money come from and how do we get it? Right. So if you have a fund development department or a person in charge of that, then how do they obtain different funding sources? Those can come from grants or contracts. And so grants are given for a specific project to achieve something. Contracts are often renewable. They're not the same as grants. Grants are more short term. Um, Most of them have a time frame, but often contracts can be renewed. Um, and how you get paid from a grant or a contract depends upon what type of reimbursement it is. It can be cost reimbursement or performance based. Cost reimbursements is you provided a service, you got paid. Somebody come cut your grass, you give them money. When they come cut your grass again, you'll give them money. So service paid, service paid. Performance based is when you set a goal and they achieve the goal completely, and then they get the money once that goal is achieved. So let's say that your program was to get your goal was to get 16 students to attend a 10-week class for um, anti-drug use in the high school. And once you got that program done and completed, then you would get the performance uh, achievement. You would get the performance-based pay. Um, these next couple of slides are just basically showing you like where you can go to get information from, like um, for contract jobs or grant paid jobs where you can get grant funding. So um, when you're thinking about writing a grant or a contract, things that you want to really think about. So, you're in that fund development phase and you're like, where all can we draw money from, to have a really good program? Then you have to think about, I'm reading this. Is this really going to help anybody? Is this really needed in our community, in our environment? Can we do this? Is it even doable? And do they really know what they're asking for? Like, have they set good, clear goals and objectives that you're supposed to achieve? Do you even understand what those are? Um, as an agency, can we meet the goals that they want? Um, is the cost reward worth it? Like, does more bang for the buck? Is it working? Like, is it clearly thought out in the budget? And how they expect you to evaluate this and document this. Is this doable? When you go into like grants, they specifically spell out for you how many copies you need, what you need in there, what information that you need in there. And then you're going to write up information because you're kind of selling yourself on why you should get it. And that's going to be part of your narrative. But you talk about how you're going to carry this out as your plan. Other things that you have to take into account when you are looking at your budget is if you have sliding fee scales or if there's third-party payer sources, because where all your money's coming from has to be part of your budget, and you have to know that information when you're doing the financial part. Different ways to do a budget. The first one is called a variance budget, and it's basically keeping that line like, here's our guesstimated cost every month for groceries, right? So let's say you think that you spend $100 a week in groceries, so you put $400 a month in this category. And then at the end of the month, which is, whenever the month ends, you actually take all the receipts from that month from all the grocery stores, and then you put in like, this is how much I actually spent. And you start doing that comparison to see if you're, are you over budgeting, under budgeting for each one of those categories. And then the next one is budgeting for results, BFR. It has three main principles. Um, what is the overall goal? Like, what are we budgeting for? Um, it says choices on means of accomplishing goal and objectives determined at the program level. So how are we going to achieve this with what we have? And then you have to have the accountability. So like, what if we have to get it done, what are some incentives from getting it done? Like, what makes it worth doing in the first place? Zero balance budget. This often will happen a whole lot if you get like um, a new CFI, chief financial officer, or a CEO, or some new board members come in, things, like major changes occur, then they're basically going to start at ground zero. They're going to look at every single item line and analyze, is this money being spent wise? Um, what do we need to change? Do we need to look at some of the contracts where we have land work done or office cleaning done that we can renegotiate or offer bidding contracts to get better prices, those type of things. So Zero. So you're basically starting from zero, looking at each thing. And then you have cutback management, where you have financial strategies and where can you cut costs, what can you change. Maybe we have to look at our mission statement and see if we have things that are falling under it, we're not doing something, or we need to do, we have things that just that we're covering that we really shouldn't be, that's outside of our scope. Um, and then maybe there's stuff going on like um, grant funded agencies in the community that we can refer to that can be doing some of this stuff, because there's already people doing it. Uh, maybe we ask for help on community involvement, mentorships type stuff. There's 8 themes in cutback management, and they are collaborative leadership, not judging the past, moving forward. Let's change it. Let's do better. Looking at the big picture, um, being very focused on making those decisions, um, understanding time is money, and that you're trying to work within a system that has stakeholders and policies. Communicate with staff, let them know what's going on, let them know what the purpose of reevaluating things is, changing things up. Try to make sure that even if you change some stuff around, that you can relocate people to other jobs. Like if you have a lot of staff, maybe they can get to a different department. Maybe they can move from front desk to HR, or to different places. Allow people to give you information from their perspective. What ideas might somebody else have that you haven't thought of about improving efficiency? And always use the data to understand what's going on and what's not working. And it allows you to give like hard case facts on why things need to change, or why things need to improve. Um, when you get these financial reports and you're looking at them, they really help you look at where everything's going. If you was to do your own financial report at the end of every year, like you would think like, how much money do I actually spend on movies, or how much money am I actually spending on coffee because I like it from the store instead of, making it at home. Like stuff like that will really surprise you when you start looking at every little key factor. So you have places that give you financial statements, so you're kind of keep up to date where the money's going. You get annual reports, and then most places contract or self have somebody in HR that do at least annual audits, because anybody that works in the helping profession is subject to like Medicaid audits, and we always want to make sure that we already look good before they come in. We don't want to find out what's wrong before. We do want to find out what's wrong and fix it before we get a Medicaid audit. We don't want that to be when we figure it out. And at the end of the day, you always have to think about that you're working with and impacting human beings, and that is really always not possible to put a dollar on. Like you can't always put a monetary value on providing services to certain populations, to certain people, or changes that you're creating. So that always has to be, that uniqueness has to always be taken into account. We're not shipping cars, or we're not, um, you know, making ink pens in a factory, whatever. Our business is helping serve human beings and their environment. And so sometimes we have to look past monetary things. And that is all of chapter 8. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you are able to do a good financial plan.